Hello and welcome back. It's good to see you all again. Now I'm just sowing some carrots into this polytunnel. If you've been a subscriber to our channel for the last 12 months or so, you'll know that we actually sow some carrots in our greenhouse right at the very end of October. We actually had a magnificent harvest during April and May, didn't we, Mrs.
did,
W?
Yeah. Even though I didn't think we were ever going to get anything because they seemed really slow.
But I thought I'd try sowing some here and now. We are at the beginning of September. As usual, we've pre-watered the drill that we made, just as we do during the summer months when we're sowing carrots. And of course, in the polytunnel, the rain can't fall, so just to help them get germinated, we've just pre-watered that drill. Now, in today's programme, we shall be giving you our 6 top tips for the month of September. Things have gone quite well for us, really, the back end of the year. If you think that these went in really, really late, and we actually have a crop.
It looks like it's a good crop, actually, doesn't it? Lovely crop,
does,
yeah, yeah.
And part of the reason for that is that here in the UK, at least, September can often be a month when we get what we call an Indian summer, and it can generally be quite warm during September, and it certainly is here in Norfolk, which is helping fuel these beans on the harvest that we can take.
They're actually filling out over the arch as well now, aren't they? The arch is starting to look quite green again. Not quite as green as when the peas were there, but...
No. Actually, had they probably gone in June time, when we would normally expect to put these in, it probably would have filled it,
Yeah, they probably would
it?
have been greener even more, yeah.
But actually, it's worked out really well for us, because we had lots of harvest during July and August. Had lots of lovely things to enjoy, haven't we?
Yeah.
And with these going in that much later, we're getting the benefits of this harvest here and now. Look at the French beans, look. They're just producing all of the time.
They are so quick, you kind of go to bed one night and wake up in the morning and there's some more, isn't there?
Yeah, you wake up the next morning and think,
like magic
where's
beans.
this come from? Well, the weather is quite nice per day. It's exceptionally warm at the moment. It's been around about 28 degrees today. It's a Tuesday evening that we're filming on, if only because neither of us can really stick the really hot temperatures. And it's easier to come out now and film. But what I just want to say is that if you're new to gardening and you think you want to grow some lovely beans, they're a great crop to grow. There's a lot of reward that you get from them in regards of harvest, and that's round about the sort of size that you want to be harvesting them. Well, at least it is for me. Mrs. W does like the odd seed or two within them. I actually prefer them like this. I wouldn't want them to get any larger than that. These ones here I'm harvesting at the moment are Lady Di. The ones on the other side are actually White Lady, aren't they?
Yes, yeah.
And this is all to do with Mrs. W, who wants everything
Pretty colours.
Yeah. Have to have white on one side, red flowers on the other.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, those French beans need doing.
And these are now getting near the top of the plant now, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're not...
Yeah. Definitely reached the centre. Well, we cut them out from the centre, didn't we? Cut the tops out in the centre, but
Yeah.
I've definitely bushed since you did that.
And it just goes to show you, really, you know, you really don't need to be in any particular hurry to get these plants out and into the ground. And I think that's about it for today, Mrs. W, for the beans.
Lovely. Not a lovely little harvest there. Well, not a little harvest. Nice harvest.
So as you can see, we're getting quite the harvest, and every other day we're coming here and getting this like this. So as much as we're enjoying them on our plate and eating them lovely and fresh, the great thing about the beans is that they do freeze really, really well. And you can go on enjoying the lovely tastes of summer, even though this is autumn. But you can go on enjoying that for the rest of this year and indeed into the following year. We do have a video on our channel how to freeze green beans, and also to make the green chutney as well. Mrs. W has a recipe and a video on there for that. So if, like us, you've got an abundance of beans, then do go and look at that video, find it in our playlist, and yeah, it'll give you something to do with all of these beans. Now, here in the greenhouse, our first top tip for the month of September is to, first of all, do keep on top of your side shooting. Don't think just because it's got to September that, you know, you need to forget about it. What you don't want this plant to do is to put its energies into producing masses of green foliage. You want it to concentrate on the fruit and getting that to ripen. And the other thing is that we've harvested the ones from the bottom trusses now, so just take these leaves off. They don't need to be on here anymore, and that will let more sunlight into or through the glass, and it can get to these ones. And if Mrs. W can see here, look, this one is almost there.
It's getting there, isn't it? Oh, there's one on the floor, look. Oh
yes,
dear,
take
that and put that on the windowsill, that'll be fine.
Yeah. And
I did harvest a few out of here yesterday, so that's probably why there doesn't look too many at the moment that are quite ready. But
that will allow more light to get to the plants and to help turn these red. The other thing is, just because you've got to September, don't forget to water them. So watering and not letting the soil get dry is really important, because if the plants can't take up the water, then they can't take up the calcium, and that's what leads to blossom end rot. It's a lack of calcium. But these plants, it's not that the calcium is not in the ground, but they take it up through the water. So you do need to keep on top of your watering.
our peppers are definitely turning red, aren't they?
They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
You can see on this one here, they're really, it's not going to be long before this one's going to be ready.
No, and there's the one below as well.
Yeah.
You can see it more from the outside of the greenhouse. It's quite red.
You really can. How are the others getting on while we're here?
Oh,
I
let's
think
have a
they're
look.
starting
Ooh.
to turn,
Oh,
look.
that's the new one. Let me see if I can get there. Yeah.
Fantasia.
Oh yeah, they look like they could be orangey.
They do.
Ooh.
You did say you wanted some peppers of many colours,
Different
didn't
colours.
you?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Oh, even they're starting to turn, look.
Yeah. Beautiful. That's a lovely plant, that one is, isn't it?
It is.
I've had to stake this one up because it was falling over, and these are they're purple at the moment, but they will turn red. They ripen to red, but you could eat them purple.
We still got chilies coming, Mrs. W.
Oh, good. Our grandson Charlie came to stay with me today, the last day of the summer holidays, and when he came in and he saw them, he said, "Oh, Nanny, can I try the chilies?" Because he likes peppers. And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know whether you should try it, really, Charlie." I mean, to me, they're quite spicy. But he was insistent on trying it, so I cut him a little bit off of one. He said, "That's not spicy at all, Nanny." So I think I must be a spice wimp. Because he was quite happy with them. They are only the jalapenos, but to me, they're as hot as I want to go.
Now, our second top tip for September is do check your brassicas for pests. Because even though, like us, you may well have netted them, they do have a habit of just appearing.
They are extremely determined, is how I would describe them. Extremely determined to get in.
You never know when you might find something.
See, very determined they are.
That they are. The other thing I'm just doing is just tidying the plants up a bit, getting the leaves off as I quite often do. Here's another one, Mrs. W. Look.
Oh, chickens are going to be happy.
So like I say, you know, they can break your defences at any time. Don't just rely on the netting. One thing the netting has done for us is that we haven't been overrun with them. But we do often walk up here sometimes and see one just flying about, don't we?
Yeah.
We have to try and get it out of there. And I think one of the reasons for these is that these Romanesco, and the variety escapes me, they still haven't actually produced any heads yet. They're just producing lots of green, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
And not really doing anything at the moment, but they're getting so large. You can see, it wasn't that many videos ago where you saw us where we upped the size of the... There's another one, Mrs. W.
And I can see one too. There's more than we think. There's one just in here. Hang on, just there. That's it. I want to eat the Romanesco, not the caterpillars.
But these have grown just so large, they've actually exceeded the height of this. And as whenever we've grown Romanesco before, they've been more like the size of
Cauliflower really, weren't they?
plants,
Yeah.
haven't they?
Yeah.
They are starting to turn in now, so I don't think it'll be too long before we actually do start to see some Romanesco. He says, hopefully. However, one of the things we do talk to you about quite often are the Calibris. And we've got some lovely side shoots that have been coming out of these. That's a bonus crop.
Very much a bonus.
We don't normally see them as large as that. More like this around here.
Hold on.
And that's how we normally look to take the side shoots. But as I often say to you, you know, you can get a harvest like this every week, and you'll get several small shoots. These are exceptionally large.
Another quite nice one here.
Yeah, that's more like the sort of thing with sort of...
Yeah, that's more the standard size that seems to come.
And if you keep cutting these, they will keep coming. They'll do that for about 5 or 6 weeks, easily after you've had the central head. While we're here, Mrs. W, there's some lovely cabbages. Oh, lovely tight hearts.
Oh yeah, they're the Providence, aren't they?
The Providence, yeah.
Yeah. Looking good. Looking very good. So is this 2 top tips in one? In regards of clearing away the leaves for the slugs, and also checking the leaves for the caterpillars.
Yes. Well, don't let it ever be said that you don't get value for money on the No Dig Norfolk Gardener channel. It was going to be 6 tips, it's 7. If your sweet corn didn't come ready for harvest during August, then September will certainly be a time when it will. And it is for us. And one of the questions I often get asked is when are they ready? Some of it is experiencing it for a few years and you get to know when it's ready. But there are a few telltale signs. You can see that the tassels have gone brown. If I feel the cob, it feels full and as though there's some kernels in there. And of course, if you do take it off the plant, you can do the fingernail test. So if you just put your fingernail into one of the kernels, if it's running milky, then it's certainly ready. It's ready for you to harvest.
I don't remember the subscriber's name who gave us the tip to boil them in the actual casing, just take a couple of leaves.
Yes, we did, didn't we?
And I've done that today, and really lovely, really lovely. They seem
you were able to just take the leaves off and
I just took a couple of the outside leaves off before I had the pan of water ready, as they tell you to do. And I just took a couple of the outside leaves off as I came down the garden, trimmed off the tassel, and I just popped it into the boiling water, 5 minutes. Charlie thought it was amazing. He asked for another one. So.
Well, then the outer sheath, I assume, that is on it, you were able to just peel off really smoothly.
It just comes off really easily, and the tassel, the sort of, because the tassels go inside and alongside the cob. So yeah,
absolutely amazing, absolutely amazing. And whoever you are, and I'm really sorry I can't remember your name at this time, but thanks for sharing that tip with us, because it does work, and it may be something that we show people a bit later on.
Yes, yeah.
How we've done it. Now, September is a really great month for pickling and preserving, and as I said earlier, there are 1 or 2 videos on our channel about doing that. We do intend to make some more, and you should see those later in the year, so that as you're growing through next season, you'll be able to refer to those and see what we do with a lot of our produce in order to preserve them or indeed pickle them. It's very apt that we're back outside the polytunnel, because at the beginning of the video I was sowing some carrots inside there, which leads me on nicely to our next tip, which is what you can be sowing in the month of September. Now clearly seed sowing is starting to wind down. There's not so much to sow. As we get to this time of the year, the light levels are diminishing and it's generally cooler. Although it's been very hot over the last few days, and it's going to continue over the next few days. So, but in general, it will start to cool down as we go through autumn. So therefore, there's not so much that you can sow and actually get in the ground to grow. But September is a great month for sowing salads, and salads that you're either going to be eating towards the back end of this year in 2023 or into the new year in 2024. So you can be sowing such things as rocket and lamb's lettuce, mizuna, mustards. They will grow away nicely over the autumn and give you pickings a bit later on in the year. And of course you can also be growing things like radish and spring onions. So toward the middle part of September, sow your spring onions, and then they can either go out into the garden. We're probably going to put ours in our polytunnel, but they can go out into the garden and they will overwinter, and then early next year, March, April time, you'll have a nice crop of spring onions that you'll be able to pick, just as your onions that you've had in storage are starting to come to an end and you've exhausted them.
Could you, because obviously we do multi-sow into little trays, don't we, plug trays. Could you direct sow them into the ground if you
can?
Yeah.
You can direct sow them. It's not too late.
No.
You can still direct sow them, just that we choose to multi-sow them because we get a bunch of onions,
Yeah,
don't we, when we
yeah.
want to pick them, or we just pick the largest ones from the bunch.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to direct sow them, and the same with the next thing I'm going to talk about, which is radish. You can be sowing radish, you can either multi-sow that, or you can direct sow it singularly and just pick every other one as they get near to their harvest, leaving the rest to grow on to get that little bit larger. Now, as for planting out in September, everything that you've actually sown during August will be ready to go out during this month. And you can refer back to our August top tips for the month. The things that we sowed, we've got things like pak choy. What else have we got? Cabbages, haven't we? We've got lettuce, cauliflower.
Yeah. The onions.
The
and
onions, you can see they've all germinated really quite nicely.
Let me see. So we have these are bunched, or there's some multi-sown overwintering onions, aren't there?
There are.
And there's some multi-sown spring onions. I'm not sure which way round they come, but anyway, that's what they are.
And the spring onions that you see here, they shall be for, well, I'm hoping that they will harvest a bit later on this year. The ones that I'm actually going to sow that I talked about before, to sow in September, they will be to overwinter and to be able to eat next year. One thing I did just want to say to you is about watering and things like the celeriac and the leeks. These vegetables will be harvesting very soon, into next month, sometime in October. For us, it's generally towards the end of October. So it's worth giving them some water to help them bulk up and to get as big a harvest as you can. And talking of harvest, well, you can see here we've been harvesting beans, aubergines, Calabres, chilies, tomatoes.
And we've got a lot of cucumbers again as well.
And there's still cucumbers to harvest. We still have cabbages to harvest. Yeah, there's much to harvest in the garden. And as we get towards the end of this month, because I was looking at the squash a bit earlier, Mrs. W, it's not going to be long before they're going to be ready for us to be able to harvest.
No, they're looking lovely, aren't they?
Getting towards the end of September and into October, then we should be able to harvest those.
As we're filming here, I can now see there's two beautiful yellow courgettes hanging over the edge of the salad bar raised bed. So I think it's about time we did Anita's lemon drizzle cake.
I think you're right.
I think that would be a good recipe to share with everybody.
Yeah, I do indeed. Sounds absolutely gorgeous, and I certainly have a bit of a weakness for cakes, so I can't wait to taste that. Now, I would like to thank you all for your very kind comments regarding the tunnel over the last couple of videos. It's really good of you. We are really pleased with it, and I'm sure, well, I know it will feature quite a lot over the coming months, and as we get to grips with how to garden undercover in a polytunnel. And also for your general comments, it's lovely to get your comments and all the likes. In fact, the last week has been our best ever month for likes. We've had close on 800, 700 and odd likes, so it's not far from 800 likes, which was absolutely amazing.
Thank you, everybody.
And yeah, it really does help our channel, and believe you me, we really, really do appreciate it. I think the light is going now, Mrs. W.
It is.
So we better wrap this up.
Oh, Scylla agrees. She wants feeding.
I did say right at the very beginning, off camera, I said to Mrs. W, shall we go up to the garden? She said, I've been up the garden. And I said, never by moonlight. Anyway, have a great rest of your gardening week, guys, and we shall see you again very soon.